guys, it's Isopods and more with me. I hope everything is going well with you and you're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love. And with that said, if you are watching this, do me a favor and let me know how you are doing below, because you may not care about how you are right now, but I certainly do. I just got done doing a video for jars and vivariums and terrariums, and it got my mind going in a million different directions, so much so I had to do a note card to write stuff down, so much so I literally, just as we started doing this, I started doing this, realized I have about 2 loads of laundry to do, which includes all the clothes I've been wearing to go walk outside because they got pretty beat up the last couple days. So, with all that out of the way, and nothing more to say, I hope everything's going well with you, you're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love, and let's see what's going on here. So first I want to talk about my video and my life happens in waves. So I have an unusual custody schedule in that I have my kids for 2 weeks and then they're at my ex's for 2 weeks. So my time opens up a lot more when I don't have my children. Now, even that is a big asterisk because I take my kids as often as I can. So, for example, in the summer, when my kids are at my ex's, unless they have a vacation, I try to take them as often as I can. So I may have one of them and their cousin, my nephew, or a friend, several of them. But in the school times, like now, for example, in fact, they actually have a snow day today, but they have school, and that makes it difficult for me to take them. They have things like that. But, weather can be an issue in Michigan at least, whereas, today they're at home with my ex, but, the roads aren't the greatest, and I'm not going to try to endanger them or myself or anybody else on, roads for that when I know I can see them in a day or two. So, my point is that my schedule is rather inconsistent, but at least you can see hopefully a little bit of consistency within that schedule. And I'm hoping that, you can understand why I can't make such a, routine as most people would prefer. But that out of the way, I want to talk about live streams because I want to start doing that more. But I first want to talk about the fact that I have basically 3 different types of live streams. The first one will be a scheduled live stream, which will be a normal one. Today, for example, I may decide I want to do one of these jars, so I'm going to schedule one for next Wednesday at X p.m. or a.m., whatever. Giving time for people to see if they can get there. If not, it is what it is. I never take that personal, so there's that. Then I'm going to have more impromptu ones where I may just look at it, come in from a long walk, and have found a I have this laying around, but not that this is going to go in any of those, but man, I want to make something with this right now. And I may break a piece off and start putting it as a centerpiece to that jar. Again, and I may schedule those out, meaning I may come in and say, set up a live stream, and maybe I went out at 10 a.m. and set it up for noon so that I have time to clean up, get stuff ready. Which, again, they're scheduled, but they're more impromptu. Then I'm going to have my unpluggings, which will always be for me. I do include you guys on some, whether I live stream or post them after the fact, but if I ever do decide to go out on my walks and unplug and include you guys, that is very much last minute. It may be because the weather is nice. I just have a feeling it's a nice day. Sorry, I'm watching the icicles form. The sunrise may be coming, I don't know, but my point is I just may want to share those with you, and I hope you don't take that personal when I don't, because again, that is about, unplugging is something for me, and while I do share it, generally it's in the capacity of trying to encourage you to go out and unplug yourself in any way you can. Get away from devices, electricity, people, and just someplace where you can just focus on everything around you in the moment, whether it's what's going on up in the trees, what geese are flying by making their annoying, stupid honking, or looking down and seeing a piece of moss that you didn't know was there, a rock or a piece of wood that, wow, there may be isopods under there, let's take a look. All of those things are what my unplugging sessions are about, and I hope you can find a way to do it because I believe that we all need it. The next part is my content in terms of, I did plan on doing a couple bin builds and maybe some vivariums, but I ran out of substrate, as I mentioned in several videos. I have just enough to keep on hand in case I need it for these guys. It's not more of a luxury. So when I get this dirt that I have coming in the mail, this substrate, I just like saying I'm getting dirt in the mail. I'm going to be more active with that. But with that said, kind of about point one, my kiddos are coming back this weekend, so I'm going to have a little bit less time, which is awesome for me because I love being immersed in my kids almost, well, more than, I should say, I love being immersed with you guys almost as much as I love being immersed with my kids. It's just, I don't ever want to seem like I'm complaining about one or the other, because I always compare it to if I'm having Buddy's Pizza or Louie's Pizza. It's my first and my second favorite pizza. So if you make me put a gun to my head and make me have Louie's, it's not like you're, gonna hurt my feelings.
Why did you do this to me?
You're an adult, man. Ain't like I put a gun to your head.
With all of that, tying up to live streams, dirt, and vivariums, the last part about live streams is, would you be interested in, I know we have plans to get together and put together some bins, and they're kind of all around me, some of them you see here as a matter of fact, but would you be interested in putting together a vivarium with me with that stipulation of, I want it to be interactive? So I'm going to post a video right after I'm done with this, before we launch into the next section, which is potentially Patreon and stuff, which is I'm uncomfortable talking about, so we'll get to that in a moment. But before we do hop into that, here is what I'm talking about with my potentially interactive vivarium building with you. So on the topic of interactive vivarium and or terrarium building, these are some of the things that, again, just picture me sitting down with the camera here and saying, I'll put in the substrate, what should I do? What piece should be the centerpiece? What should I focus on? So let's say you say, 5 minutes in, we set that up and, let's put a piece of moss in there. I will let you guys decide, what should I take out of here? Where should we put it? What do you think? I think that would be awesome. So with that and all that in mind, I'm going to go show you a couple more goodies. But, this is where I'm struggling. This is wild caught moss that I am slowly getting to the point that I'm going to try and propagate. You can see some of how it's coming up. I've done a little trimming, and I don't know how well those pieces will come up on the camera or turn out, but I'm hoping those start to propagate. And speaking of moss, I'm going to show you a little something else, even though I touched on this in a live stream, but let's move on to some more mosses. So these are where I'm trying to propagate sphagnum moss. These are kind of a little bit different, so I'll explain. The tops are a little different. The two on the outside have little holes poked inside. This one is sealed. I should have done a fourth one, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but I think I already have my answer. So this one has a small charcoal base, and then it's sphagnum moss, and as you can see, has been propagating. Let's see if I can get some of the natural light there. Very nicely. I took a little bit out of this for something, and I don't remember what. In fact, I do now. It was for my beautiful cousin Sherry's light bulb vivarium in there. But this one is sealed. It does have a charcoal base, and what I should have done technically was another sealed one without a charcoal base similar to that one. But this one did not grow as well. You'll see a lot of green, but what I ended up doing yesterday, as a matter of fact, out of my other large bin I started with, that square bin with my natural caught moss, I had this in there, which is terrarium moss. And I just moved it in here yesterday because this one I may pull apart and do something more like I did out here, because they're obviously I'm having more success. So I kind of just put that in there yesterday because I didn't want it sitting out. Then this one is similar to the one here, except it does not have a charcoal base. It's just right down to the bottom. And I did have a lot of success growing in here and propagating it. That specific dark spot is similar to that where I did terrarium moss. So let me know. I'm assuming this one is a little bit better, and worst comes to worst, I'd rather throw a little bit charcoal in there because I know it can do good. So these are other things even now, but more so once I get more established. And now that I understand this experiment works, I'm going to be very eager to start doing this a lot more actively. So before I hop into the next part, I do want to get some close-in zoom-ins of this, see if they can come out well. If not, we'll just hop to the next piece. And I have a couple bags of this terrarium moss. This is one of those that came dehydrated and compressed. I just did it all up at once and have a couple bags like this. This is more interesting than the sphagnum moss because, as you can see, it has the green color. But I am not positive if I can repropagate this as I'm doing with my sphagnum moss. So I'm going to be basically recreating that experiment with this soon to see if this is something I can start to slowly repropagate or if it's just going to be kind of dead end used as is. And here we have some interesting stuff. This piece of wood I gathered just before the snow hit, and I soaked it and baked it, so I'm interested in that. Those, I'm not positive what these are. So if you could help me, I want to say they're lichens that are covered in moss. Try to get a nice close-up. Very light and airy. It was attached there to the wood. And that's where this one was attached. I'll include a quick picture of how they were resting. And then I'm going to move this. This is a lot of that, well, all that wood that I collected from right under the base of where I caught my spinny cornies. I have had these sitting in a combination of freezing in a container like this, sitting out in the freezing cold out on my porch. I've soaked them multiple times, and I have baked them twice. The reason, just to be clear, is it looks like this was termite infested at least at one point. So I just want to make sure I'm not going to be putting termites in with my guys. I am going to eventually, because I kind of did so much to these, get a container where I just throw some substrate in there, have this go in there and just kind of get a little bioactivity going, get a little bit of the substrate smushed in there, some of the moisture back in there, but I don't want to do too much because I want some of that to happen naturally when I put it wherever I put it. But this is some awesome light. Let me see. I can hear that breaking, but you know, one thing I do potentially want to do is just break these up and see how far. I don't know. Part of me likes the idea of keeping them in big chunks, but like this could almost be, for example, not that this would fit in any of these, but this could be a nice chunk centerpiece too, if this was an actual, you know, visually orientated one. This would be a good piece to build upon, put moss on, introduce the the microenvironments under there. Those are some of the things I have waiting, and let's go look at some more. Now this is my big bin of the random goodies. There's charcoal, there's the wood with the lichens you can see at the bottom. There's random cork bark, sphagnum moss, leaf litter, charcoal, I don't know if I said that, calcium sand, I don't know if I already said that. But my point is, this is other stuff that I have to throw in there. That charcoal bag I don't think I've even opened yet because I just recently either have or I'm just at the point where I'm about exhausted with what I had previously. So there's that. There's also a little bit of terrarium moss that I have over to the side that I mentioned, along with magnolia leaves that I have. So those are the two large pieces that are not lichened over there, the brown wood from the Porcellio spinicornis. And then, let's see how well this will. I don't know how well this will be in the light, but in fact, there, that'll help a little bit. This is another piece I'm going to be utilizing. Contrary to what that says in reverse, this is not clothes for a 12-month and below. If so, you should be calling Child Protective Services on me. This is my favorite bin right now. Everything that you see in here, I went out and grabbed myself. A lot of the other stuff I did, some I did not, but I'm going to be grabbing a lot more of this I mean, some of this I grabbed right before it snowed, and some of it I'll be grabbing more of when we're done. I have more on my porch that is more in this condition, which is not mossed over, which you can see the different conditions here. So let me kind of show some of this off. I'm so proud of this, but these are things I'm trying to keep with, especially keep in mind some of these colors as pieces in some of these. Or additionally, this is great for isopods to munch on. So I have smaller branches like this, and a couple more in here I'll get out of the way, kind of. These have a little bit less, but I like this. I may put this in a jumping spider enclosure that I may be getting, but oh, actually that one has some nice. It's just very pretty bland there, and then get that nice color. That's rad. Oh man. So this, when you, well, it's all different here, but most of these pieces where you see they're not mossed over, almost all of these that I've collected were from the base of the tree where I collected all my Porcelio spinning cornies out here. Almost all of it. And then the ones you see with any of the green on it are separate. I've been collecting these on my walks more, but I don't know if you can see the depth of this, but this is just, you know, this is one of the more dull, bland pieces. There are a couple with little to no, well, I guess not many. Now look at this. Sorry, I know the lighting is not the best here, but you know, these are all some just gorgeous pieces. This isn't kind of another, it's not even in the light, it doesn't look that as bland as it did a moment ago. So I'm super excited. This was all one piece, but I had to break it to be able to fit. In fact, that could be something to set up. And oh, see, yeah, I'm gonna try not to mess with that too much. So this is another thing that, and again, there are smaller pieces, but this can all be broken up even further to fit. This is just awesome. Now Patreon. It's often difficult for me to talk about this because I have to put context out there and I don't like talking about it. But financially, things are always tight for me. I've had to trim down so much in my life to accommodate having 3 kids and being a disabled veteran. I can't work. A lot of this, what I do is to promote my health with my back and my neck, but I want to be able to do more, and I'm going to be very candid. I didn't even write this, but I feel bad because, you know, I hear other content creators, you know, hey, if you know, have $1 or, you know, whatever, and I want to be able to do that, but at this point in my life, if I give you $1, it's taking $1 from my kids. I mentioned trimming my life down. Even ordering this dirt takes a lot. I have to operate within a window of what I allow myself to spend on myself. So when I buy dirt, I don't do things like treat myself to, you know, food that I normally would, or eat out a little bit more, or just things like buying isopods. Again, I do that all within my small window of what I allow myself to spend on myself. With the economy and everything being what it is, that window is getting narrower and narrower. I would like to be able to do that, but it's very hard for me because I feel like I'm begging, and I don't want that because I don't want people to look at giving charity as promoting begging and vice versa. But I'm debating a Patreon in the sense that if you give me $1, I could invest that $1 somewhere else in the community. Now that could be in myself, and I'll always encourage you, if you ever do that, for me specific, if you want me to do something specific, for example, buy my kids ice cream, buy dirt, not spend it on my kids and spend it on isopods. I don't take any of that personal, but always let me know because I want to make sure I'm doing this as, again, if I'm going to be saying I'm doing this with you, I want to do this with you and take those things into account. So, if that's something you think I should do and you're interested in, let me know because, you know, often say we view the world through the lens of our own bias. And I often say about myself, I'll reference another lifetime. In that other lifetime, $1 was trivial. And so now I have that perspective to look back on and just say that, you know, I want to be able to do that, but I'm not in a position right now, which kind of leads me to, I guess, well, I addressed the next part of my point, but it is why I'm at a point where, with all of this, it's easier for me to do things like spend this time with you, sometimes at the expense of my kids, but that's at the benefit of myself, or to spend this money because I'm looking at this as an investment. Several things I'm thinking about are just being able to, if I know someone online and I just think they're rad, shipping them isopods. I'd love to do that. Selling isopods for money. That's kind of part and parcel with the fact that I'm struggling financially. I want to be able to potentially supplement income. So when I look at Substrate right now, that's to me an investment. Spending money on isopods is an investment, something I plan on doing later. But I also want to, just for example, talking a lot about Wally and the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas, SDoc. I want to be able to, that was one thing, engaging with that whole thing, the environment and the community. That is one, I consider it a small goal, but I want to be able to donate something this coming 12 Supreme Days of Christmas, which will be 2023. So those are some of the goals and how all of this is ending up tying together. I think I've probably talked you guys into sleep. Let me know your thoughts about all of that below. I hope everything is going well with you and you're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love. I hope everything on that card is done. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. I was going to go out on a walk. I may still, but I have to tackle that laundry first. So, priorities. Boom!